Hello, this is Edward here for ChargeCore Studio, and today we are going to be starting the Windows Forms homework tasks. They are currently available on Godalming Online. At the time of recording, they haven't been set to us. They may have been set to the other class, I'm not sure, but I'm going to start work on them anyway. Feel free to follow along when I'm coding specific things, but don't copy my code word for word because, well, for one thing, you'll end up with an application that launches other forms to do different stuff, but that's kind of not exactly what they want you to do. They want you to make individual projects contain each is separate, I presume, but the process is still the same. But they'll most likely know that you've just copied straight from the tutorial if you do just 100% copy exactly everything I've done. Don't. An individual form in the context that sort of you're doing is going to be basically just the main form that's generated when you say you want to create a Windows Forms application with me. I've got to do things to actually get them to sort of be shown when I code this project. So we're going to start. Of the previous video, I showed how to just make this basic sort of layout, which I'm going to add to as the weeks go by. For mine, yours will probably be an individual application, so you won't need to worry about this. I just sort of did this just to show how the form design works. Windows Forms intro. Sorry, this is just me just modifying the text that appears up there, and obviously this is mainform.vb class. So I want to now generate a new form. The first task on the list is I'll copy and paste this into the project to comment in a minute. A button that when clicked displays a hello world message box. What's a message box? Well, a message box is just almost like a miniature form that you don't have to manually code yourself. Just comes up and it is generated automatically. It has one parameter by default, which is just a string, which is what you want the actual text on the message box to say, and then the user can click OK or cancel, I think, or close the form. I could be wrong on that, but so it's kind of like a more basic version of a form, basically, that's generated with the string constructor. A constructor, for the record, by the way, is like a parameter, and it's passed to a class file rather than passed to a subroutine. You might be able to get constructors on subroutines, I'm not sure. Anyway, so yes, to add a new form to your project, if you're wanting to do it this particular way around, you just go to new there. As you can see, you've got a variety of options. If you were just making like something that was just going to be invoked by a form to perform like number specific operations, obviously you just have a normal standard class, not a form, but because this is launching other things, we need to have a form. So I'll just put in title here, which is hello world 1 predecessor, and we have a new form. As you can see, it's got a design. That's just basically saying that this is in design view rather than coding view or whatever. So yes, to generate the code from my thing, I'll just double click on it, get rid of this, so I don't need that yet anyway. Yes. Okay, so if I just make a new comment with an apostrophe, hello world on a message box. Right, so this form just needs one component, and that's going to be a button to launch our message box. So might as well make it a massive button. Don't need to remember for anything else, so I'll just drag that up. Change the text to click me, and using the standard prefixes, we want to change the name to btn, and then hello world. Right, okay, to get the code for when this button is clicked, what we can do is just double click and it generates it. For other events, you can sort of click up here and see all sorts of other events to do with dragging and dropping data in, mouse over effects and stuff like that. So you can change that, and obviously it will generate you a new thing, or you can just type it in manually, which is an underscore and then the event. Okay, so you don't need to worry about changing any of this particular code here. All we need to worry about is coding for our button. So the coding for when that button is going to occur when that button is clicked. It's usually going to be a method call, but in this case, because we're not using like an API or anything as another class file. It's not calling anything from another class file, and this program's just self-contained, so we don't need to worry about anything like that. So we just put the code in manually in this section for now. So to open up in the message box, we use the MSG message box. There you go, message box function, and then open brackets to enter our parameters. You see there it says prompt as object. That's a different type of message box. You just want to pass a string to it, which will just be what the thing says. So in this case, it will be hello world, exclamation mark, close that off, and I believe we're done. So if we just add in the code in here for this particular button, it's going to be up here. I want to declare, this is how you make an instance of a class. So if you want to refer, this will come in more useful when you come to transferring data between forms. But for now, I'm just going to dim hello world 1 as, and then our type is the class, so it's hello world 1. Equals new, and then hello world 1. So the first one declares a type for sort of the IDE's benefit, and the second one actually initializes it and gets it running. So what we now need to do is do hello world 1 dot show show and show dialog. Dialog is if you want to add dialog buttons. That comes into sort of later on. For now, we're just going to show it on the screen. I don't need to collect a dialog result or anything. So if I just run this, should now have our program here. Click hello world 1, this opens it, click me, and as you can see, here's our miniature thing. The title's not fully shown because for some reason I haven't set that. I think you set that in the as a parameter, I think. I'm not sure. We don't have a cancel button, so it's just an OK. So we just press OK, and that does it, and this will pop up as many times as we want it to. Okay, that's it for the first forms tutorial. Thank you very much for watching. Just a small program, just to get things started. Next. Oh shit. Okay, cut this here. Okay, so if we just now run this program, you can see it's popped up with this. Because that's my main form, and that's where the entry point takes it. Then when you launch this, this creates a new instance of our hello world 1 form, and so we can just click this button and it opens up a message box. You can change the title. I believe it's one of the parameters you can pass rather than it just putting the owner as the name. So press OK, that closes it off, and we're done. And obviously we can do this as many times as we want. That's all works fine. So if I just close that and close this, so moving on to the next task, I'm just going to wipe out the code that I've got currently and return to the recording. Thank you. Okay, so if we just now run this program, you can see it's popped up with this. Because that's my main form, and that's where the entry point takes it. Then when you launch this, this creates a new instance of our hello world 1 form, and so we can just click this button and it opens up a message box. You can change the title. I believe it's one of the parameters you can pass rather than it just putting the owner as the name. So press OK, that closes it off and we're done. And obviously we can do this as many times as we want. That's all works fine. So if I just close that and close this. So moving on to the next task, I'm just going to wipe out the code that I've got currently and return to the recording. Thank you. Okay, so I now have my second class created and just copied and pasted in the text from the website, which is a button that when clicked displays hello world on a label. Fairly simple, so we shall start off with a button. Why not make a huge thing? Set the text to click me, and change the name to btn click me. Okay. Now I'm inferring from the thing that the label should be blank to start off with, so the prefix for the label is just LBL, and then just to make it clear, these prefixes aren't necessary, it's just to help with avoiding confusion between what's actually a variable and what's just like a form control. So that's why you put them on. You don't put them on because they're needed for any particular thing. So LBL MSG, right, and set the text of that to blank. So I don't know, can I do that just like that? Yep, there we go, and that's now blank. Except for some reason that seems to have deleted it. No, it's fine. It's still there. Just disappears when you don't give it any text for some reason, because that's normal. Right. Okay. So next we need to create our event handler for the clicking of this button. So double click on the component and it will generate your method stub, I think is what it's called. Just minimize that. Sorry. Then. Yeah, so to access the text that's the label, you just use the name of the component that you gave it in the designer, LBL MSG dot, and then you can see we have access to all of the modifiers and a few of the functions that are used. We just want to use the dot text, which is down here somewhere. If we just type dot t, there we go, dot text. Now let's assignment, so equals, and then hello world. Close that off, and now I just need to add this to my main form. Add an event handler for hello world 2 and hello world 2. Dim hello world 2 as hello. What? Sorry, I just deleted a load of my code. Hello world 2 as hello world 2 equals new hello world 2. So now we can access this. Do hello world 2 dot show. Put the parentheses on, and this should now work. So hello world 2, click me, and as you can see, it now displays. Let me just drag that down because for some reason this is being irritating. Okay, so just run it again. Hello world 2. For some reason, oh, damn you. Yeah, that's because we've tried to call the form up more than once, and damn it, I need to re-look at my system for doing that. Yeah, normally you tie your things to a specific instance of the class, but because this thing's got to be able to launch multiples of them, launch them multiple times, I need to have the actual. No, hold on, I didn't want to do that. I need to put these into the actual method rather than putting them as global variables, because then they can only be used once, which is not something we want to do. So if we just copy this out, sorry, I shouldn't have called them global variables, they're local to the class global throughout the whole class. And yeah, anyway, just try this on the program, drag this down so you can see it. Hello world 2, click me, and it displays our text. And that's just not do anything, so now we just launch it again, click me, and yeah, that now works multiple times. Okay. The next task on the list, I guess, I'm just going to once again create the extra button and then start recording again. Okay, so I've done the same thing, added in a new button to our main application, and I'm now ready to start coding this. So this one is slightly more complicated. We're going to be introduced to a new component, which is the text box. Text box and a button, when clicked, displays the contents of the text box in the message box. Okay, so we're actually going to be assigning stuff to variables now. Now, a standard text box has a string variable, is what the .text is. It's a string data type. So to do that, we just need to do dim text to use as string, and then obviously we can't equals nothing. There we go. Okay, right. Okay. Now we need to start to build our thing. So to draw a text box, where are we? Standard text box. Don't use a rich text box because they use like formatting codes or something. So we just want that, and we need to make this to make it so that it can span more than one line, so we can actually fit a reasonable amount of text. Yeah. Here we use the prefix tbx and then box. I'll just call this because it's only one. If you were having like a form to fill in, you'd obviously name them differently. Just scroll down, find multi-line. Here we go. This value needs to be set to true, and then as you can see, that sort of extends down to the size that I originally drew it. So we don't want it to occupy the whole space. We need to have a button down here that allows us to sorry, that's a tiny button that allows us to launch the message box when we're done editing the text. So show in dialog. Although we don't want to show it in dialog, we want to show it in message box. Solid, like that. And then we'll call this button something like launch MSG. So that will launch our message box. So what we need to do is make it so that this variable is constantly up to date with the variable that holds this text. To do that, what we do is no, get that we don't need to use this variable. Sorry, we can just simply do it like this. So we don't need to use the text changed event either. We just simply code for here, and we do message box, and then in the parameters we put text. Is it did I name it? tbx box dot text, and then I think that should be it I'm not 100% sure, so let me just check. Let's launch the program. Oh, I haven't put that in yet, so click on here. Dim. What's it called? Text. Text to msg as text box message box equals new and then we want to do text dot show. That should launch our application. And yeah, text message. Launch that. So we type in here anything like hello, my name is Edward. Show message box. And it does all that for us. So press OK and close that out. Right, okay, I shall do that as I have kept on doing and go back and get the next task set up and create a new class file. Right, once again I just added in the initialization in here in the event handler, added a button to get this thing going, and copied and pasted the code into here. So, 2 text boxes, a label and a button. When the button is clicked, it adds together the 2 numbers entered in. The text boxes displays the sum on the label. It doesn't say anything about using try and catch to eliminate if someone enters text. Just as a sort of side note, if you don't want to build in that validation into your application, there's a thing called a numeric UpDown box, which you can use instead to enter numbers. It'll only accept numeric data, and the sort of error handling is already built into it. And the user also gets these nifty little arrows to up and down. You set maximum and minimum values, but that does stuff in the decimal data type. Though I'm going to follow the instructions and use text boxes with no event handling, so the program will crash if we have issues, but it assumes you're going to be sensible. So anyway, default value for text we don't need, so we just need to set the name, which is obviously going to be tbx num1, and then if we just copy and paste this, copying and pasting works, except it will reset the name. It doesn't copy and paste the name obviously because you can't have 2 attributes. So tbx num2, and I'm just going to cheat and put a little label in that says the plus, so they know what they're doing. Right, okay. So as you can see, that's sort of got snapping enabled on it, so it will snap to the nearest component. And then we obviously need a button to actually add them to. So I think it says, does it say display in the label? Displays the sum on the label, yeah. So we need a label here. It's just going to be some colon, and then yeah. Right. So to do an actual addition, if we try and do an addition on there, I think, at least in C#, I'm not sure about VB.NET, but if you just try and add 2 string data types together, I think it will just concatenate them. I'm not sure, because VB's more weakly typed, it might be different. So we don't want it on the thing being changed. We want to, on the click of that button, which I haven't given a name, which is stupid, so I'll give it a name, btn add, and obviously go down to here, change the name to add there. Right. Okay, so that's sort of lined up. Okay, change that name here, and now we need to change that. So what we want to do is use this thing. You could cast it, or the other method to do it, it would be use the conversion class, which is convert convert dot to int 32, I guess, and then it's not a boolean value that we want to convert. We want to convert a string variable. As you can see, there's 19 different options for this, which you can go through, and that's obviously all of the different things. So convert.toInt32 is going to take tbx num1 dot text. We need to create some variables, don't we? Dim num1 as integer. Explicitly say that. So why you? Oh, fine. Dim num2 as int32. As you can see, it's because it's referring to a class rather than a keyword. So I'm going to change that actually just to integer to be on the safe side. I'm not sure exactly what. I think it would still work, but not 100% sure. Right, so num1 equals convert.toInt32, num2 equals convert. So obviously we could use cint to do it. In fact, I'll just use that on this one. They're slightly different in the way they work, but they do the same job if you feed them the right data anyway. tbx num2. So I think that might give you an invalid cast exception, so I'm just going to do convert instead actually. toInt32 num2 dot text. So that should now work. We just need to finally have the answer. So we need to do dim answer as integer. This is assuming the person's inputting integers. Doesn't give exact details in the description. So answer equals num1 num1 plus num2, and then finally we just need to assign the text of our label, which I haven't given a name, lbl answer, and then finally lbl answer dot text equals convert dot to string, and then then answer. So we're taking the text that's in the two text boxes, converting them to integers, assigning them to variables, adding the two variables, assigning that answer to a answer variable, and then converting it back to a string so that it can be displayed in our string box. I'm not sure exactly how many of these converts are 100% necessary, because VB.NET is weakly typed in some circumstances, but I just put the conversion code in there just to be on the safe side, make sure we don't get any errors. I think that now works. Let me just check. Addition, add number 10 and 10, add 20, 1.5 plus 1.5, add is going to give you a, yeah. You see it crashes if you give it decimal places, so in order to fix that you'd set these data types to be doubles instead of integers. May as well do that now just to demonstrate it. That's double. Let's try it now. And the program, addition, open up here, 10.5 plus 0.5, add. Yeah, you need to change this to convert.toDouble to Sorry. That should now work. That should be answer double play addition 10.5 plus 0.5 add, and we have 11. There we go. That now works for decimals. Okay, as you can see, our form is sizable, so we go there. Yep. Right. Okay. I will now pause the recording and go to the next task. Once again, I have. I'm going to show you the creation of this form, but I have created the event handler and button ready to launch this thing. Right. Okay. What I need to do now, I'm going to show you how the numeric UpDown box does since the task. Let me just generate that. Get rid of that. Comment this out. Take the task from here. Create an application. Multiples two numbers together. It doesn't specify the input method, so I am going to use numeric UpDown boxes just because the data type is simpler and easier to use, and it saves us doing the convert.to. Which took a bit of faff last time. So, numeric UpDown box. Just draw one of these. Call it num1. Call it nbx. I use as a prefix. I'm not sure there's any specific one that you're supposed to use. And then need to change a few things here. The default value can stay at 0. We need to change the maximum to something higher up, like 10,000 or something. In a real calculator, we'll probably just stick with the text box. But just put this. We've got built-in validation to make sure that the user is actually inputting a number rather than just inputting something weird. And then this one's going to be called num2. Set the prefix to nbx. And then we need somewhere to display our answer. We'll display our answer in a label. So we'll use convert.toString to get that to work. Obviously there's going to be no text. I'll just put space in there so it doesn't disappear completely. No, okay, you don't like me putting spaces in there. Fine, we'll just have to. You can't. Oh, of course, that's a name. Sorry. Name is going to be LBL Aunt, and our text value is going to be nothing. And as you can see, we now have that there. So we need to just select and move this to the right place, so it's probably somewhere over here is more suitable. Squish this box up. The label, don't need to bother giving a name if you're not really using it, I suppose. Just multiply sign in there, and that will multiply those two numbers. The multiple itself doesn't multiply the numbers. Well, I'm sure you knew that. If you didn't know that, give up now. Only joking. Right, okay. So, don't want a value change, we want it on the click, don't we? Okay. So if we just set the name of this to gem and then multiply and text to multiply, change the appearance, and so now we need to get the event handler for this. So where's the I don't want what did I call it? I called it LBL arms, sorry. So LBL dot text is equal to, and then we take our value from our number box 1, so mbx num1 times mbx num2, and now why are you shouting at me? Operator times is not. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you don't use dot text because this time it's a numeric value, so we use dot value to access the property of this. So again, dot value, and yeah, there we go. So I can delete the load event, and let's start by running this. So build errors. That's interesting. Type doob is not defined. What the fuck? Oh, that's from the previous time. I must have deleted it. Okay, multiplication. That's not doing anything for some reason. Let's check here. Ah, we haven't put the show thing in, so sorry, I've given this the wrong name. That needs to be multiplication. Doesn't actually need to be because cation. Copy and paste this down to here. Dot show. Put parentheses on, and our error disappears. So now let's try. So drag that down here. Multiplication. Drag this over here. 10 times 10. Multiply, and it displays 100. 100 times 10 displays 1000. 23 times 100 multiply 2300. And obviously to enter a value, say I start typing letters, it just gives me the error. And if I type in something which is larger than the maximum, it also gives me an error because I haven't changed the validation on this thing to go for that. Let's change the validation again. I did do it once already. Just go in here and set the where is it, maximum 10,000. For some reason that's not working. Is it because you're no? Okay, it might be larger than can be stored in a decimal data type or something. I don't know. Just try this again. 1000. There we go. Yeah, there we go, and it works. Okay, I shall do as I have continued to do and go back and add in. We only have 2 or 3 more tasks left. 4 tasks left. Brilliant. Okay. Okay, so I'm now going to continue. I have again added in another form, ready to get going. So I will continue to use a numeric box just because it's built-in validation and because I like it. Copy, paste. I need to get the description of the task from here actually. So the task is create an application that subtracts one number from another. No special specification about sort of input boxes and formats to use, so let's go. Let me just delete this load event, sorry. Create an application that subtracts one number from another. Full stop. Right. Okay, so these will be our 2 input boxes. Again, we'll name these NBX num1 and NBX num2. NBX num1 NBX num2. I won't bother with the label this time. I will put our output into a text box. There we go. Just to be different. I get a button. Call that subtract btn. Sorry, btn subtract. Change the text property to subtract and pull that up. Double click on there. So then we need to give this a name, call this tbx ants dot text equals convert dot to string, and then we want mbx num1 dot value minus mbx num2 dot value. Close that off. Let me just run this and see if this works. So 100, I forgot to change the validation. I showed you in the last one how to change that, so I'm not going to bother with that. Subtract 50, subtract 23, 77, not obviously trying to put minus is out of range on here, so you'd obviously need to change your minimum value to something else to get that to work, but that's not really that important. So if we just close that, okay, that's another one ticked off off the list. We now have left create an application that divides the first number by the second. Just one box, use enter. The plus button is pressed and the first number is stored in the text box cleared, the second number is input. So that's just a calculator sort of thing. And then finally, big problem, although it's not a big problem at all, it's fairly simple, is to calculate our answer. Making the full calculator as opposed to just doing all of these individual things. Okay, so the next one is going to be a division thing. To save time on the tutorial, I'm just going to adjust this one. Obviously, if you're doing this as a thing, you'll be doing it in separate applications anyway. I'm just going to adjust this. You simply just change that to a divide symbol, and I think that's all you need to do really. So if we just run this, subtraction, well obviously it's not a subtraction, it's a division, 150, should give me an answer of 2. Yeah, that just works. Okay, so I'll just close that off. The division is just the same code over, similar to the addition, only I did the addition in text boxes just because it specified the inputs. So I will just create a new class, a new event handler, and get this thing to do the other task. So be right back. Interface using the controls to increase, just to make things clearer, because I put it in and it sort of appeared quite small. Oh god, you have sorts of comments to do with that now. I upped the font size here. You just use the font thing to extend that down and put that to size 14. Now, this question asks you, it says create an application that just has one text box. The user inputs a number, plus button is pressed, the first number is stored and the text box is cleared, the second number is inputted, the equals button is pressed, and the sum of the two numbers is displayed on the text box. So I've just called this tbx display. This is button plus, and this is that should be called button equals. Sorry, btn equals. There we go. Right. Okay, so when we press the plus button, we want it to store the contents of that as an integer in a variable that we can then add the later number to. So what we need to do is give ourselves a class global variable, dim, supposed to call it memory, as integer. No, integer. Sorry. Then we go memory equals what was this called? tbx display dot text. So we need to convert this to an integer. So you convert dot to int32. Difference between between the different integers obviously is to do with the number of bits it will take up, therefore the maximum value that it can hold. I did do stuff about that in the very first tutorial, I think. 232 tbx display text, and then we wanted to clear the tbx display dot. Is there a dot clear that we can use? Use all text on the table, so you can use the dot clear function method. You know what I mean? It's a sub because it doesn't return a value. So you can use that to clear it, or you could do .txt equals and then just 2 quotation marks. It does the same job. Okay. So yep, and then the user can then enter their next value, and the equals button, which we need to put the code in for, is going to be memory equals memory plus, and then convert.toInt32, so plus the new text that's been entered. Is there anything else we need to? Don't think there is. So let's just test this out then. Press play. Addition v2. Drag this down. For some reason I'm going to have to. Nah, sorry. There we go. It didn't come out that size, I just pulled it. Right, okay. 12 plus, it cleared it correctly, 3 equals, there we go. Right, okay, there's a slight bug here. We haven't assigned the text, so then tbx display dot text equals convert dot to string memory. That should work. Let's run this again, drag that down. Addition v2, drag this down over here. 12 plus 13 equals 25. And because we've done it like this rather than using the other method, which is assigning each thing to its own variable, we can then use that and carry on. Plus 55 equals 80 plus 2 equals 82, and so on. And that's fun and dandy. Right, okay, the next and final section, you'll be pleased to hear, is going to show how to do the final thing, which is the calculator. The calculator is very similar to this in the way it works. It's just we're going to add more buttons and stuff like that. Okay. I will stop the recording there, add in a new form, do the usual, get that set up. Okay, so yeah, that cut off a bit at the end there. This is just me in Visual Studio the day after I recorded the previous thing. Just to say, the next episode features the calculator building exercise that I didn't complete last night when I was recording the other tutorials, bits and bobs. So that video should be uploaded on what's the date? Should be uploaded either Thursday or Friday night, so in time for when you need to do the homework. This is the GUI for it. I won't go into too much detail. As usual, thanks for watching. Check out any of the links in the description, and please do comment, rate and subscribe.